Hi, I'm Ainsley, and I focus on athlete mental health transparency in America. So to start off with a really alarming statistic, 70% of Americans frequently watch live sports, which defines them as TV viewers and sports fans. So that's actually 7 out of 10 Americans watch sports every day. So this is really important because that means that we have a serious pressure on athletes from the sports media to be really successful and be entertaining for TV viewers. So there's a serious stigma in professional athletes in America, and that being that number one, they have to be victorious and they have to win no matter what at all costs. And number two, that courage has a definite answer, and that being, according to Thompson in 2021 in his article, facing fear, staring down the potential for failure, refusing to be thwarted by pain, doubt, or opposition, and overcoming is the definition of courage. And also another huge stigma is that all athletes need to be strong, mentally and physically, which is just not true because athletes do have shortcomings. And then another stigma is that they have to be perfect and that they're not going to make mistakes, and this is how you become this perfect athlete in America. So what's the reality? The reality is that most athletes actually do face some type of mental health problem. In fact, almost 90% of people said that they felt overwhelmed by all that they had to do, all they had to perform, the show that they had to play on for all the 70% of Americans that do watch sports. So this causes a lot of media pressure, and then they feel like they need to hide their weaknesses and that they cannot be vulnerable. So this creates a new epidemic in America, stating that athletes have to be very mentally sharp, and it does not offer any room for acceptance, and that it creates this almost wave of pressure in athletes who need help. So my research question was, should professional athletes in America be transparent to the media about their mental health struggles? And this is Naomi Osaka, who is a huge advocate for mental health. She's a professional tennis player. So one of the counter arguments that I think it's really important to acknowledge is that there are oversharing can lead to cyberbullying online, and this is a huge counter argument in this topic because it is such a prevalent thing where there are a lot of negative comments that do filter through, and also there's a threat that these athletes will become engrossed in their issues, and it creates stagnation and idolization where they cannot move forward and seek help. So some quotes that are important. We see a lot of harassment that falls in line with cyberbullying, according to the Telekea Daily News in 2022. And also, The Guardian in 2024 said, not only is oversharing still a thing, but there may be some troubling psychological states affiliated with sharing too much. So this idea of oversharing. However, a really important aspect of being transparent includes embracing vulnerability. So this is Simone Biles, who we've also read about, and she is a huge advocate for mental health. She stepped out of the Olympics, and although she did face scrutiny, she wanted to make sure that there was a change in acknowledgement of athletes who have mental health problems. So this is according to the Harvard Business Review by Meissner and Levanchi in 2021. These instances of high-profile athletes prioritizing their mental health, along with organized efforts from the sports media, have it triggered an important shift in the narrative of mental health in sports by sharing personal stories of vulnerability. So in defeating a stigma through being open and vulnerable, athletes can inspire people around the world, not just athletes, but just individuals who struggle with mental health to start being open and start being transparent, because it is important to be transparent in finding solutions. And this is Lindsey Vonn, who's a mental health advocate in sports. And she also really pushed for acceptance. She wanted people to defeat this stigma, and it's also important because defeating a stigma does create acceptance and understanding from the sports media and fans. And then thirdly, it raises awareness for mental health in athletes because it is not prioritized enough, and there is not a lot of leniency for athletes to seek help or take time to themselves to reflect and recover from their mental health issues. So another really important point is that embracing your vulnerability and being transparent fosters support groups online, which is a new thing that this generation has seen. So some benefits of support groups includes shared experiences and understanding, emotional support and encouragement, learning from others, building social skills and self-confidence, and a sense of community and long-term relationships, which is really important for maintaining that encouragement and fostering growth throughout your life as an athlete. So this is Michael Phelps, who is also an athlete, and he is a professional swimmer. He advocated for acceptance as well. So he explained that it's important to share your vulnerability because it's a form of coping. So you can overcome and you can have like a sense of community that you can like come together and find solutions and share your experiences, what helped you and what didn't. It allows growth in the athlete. So sharing your experiences also allows leniency and allows the athlete to pick themselves up off their feet and move forward and find success in their sport again. So one really important quote that I found from Franklin Delano Roosevelt's inaugural address was his perspective about unity. So he said, "In every dark hour of our national life, a leadership of frankness and vigor has met with that understanding and support of the people themselves, which is essential to victory." And so this is really important because it addresses the unity of this country, but it also can be reflective of an athlete who seeks unity within his or her support groups. And in doing so, it can lead you to victory. So maybe athletes can find victory in the end, even when they are transparent to the media. So here are some solutions, and this is Naomi Osaka again. So transparency in America, when you are being open to the media here, it allows you to embrace vulnerability and stop a stigma that athletes have this really good mental health. It also allows support groups to arise online, and you can be surrounded by individuals who have similar experiences as you. So athletes, therefore, can feel supported, they can feel comfortable, and they can feel accepted. And this fosters a lot of growth in the athlete, and it creates a better environment for the sports media and athletes. So to conclude, the solutions that we need to seek as individuals and as the sports media, society must view athletes as humans. We can't keep viewing them as these perfect people who, as stated in that Thompson article, that have this definite idea of courage and all these embodiments of an athlete. So they're not just heroes, they are people too. Another really important thing to address as individuals in society is that we need to have a mutual respect between athletes and media, not just within privacy, but also acceptance and leniency. We need to accept that athletes are going to need time off, not just for their physical injuries, but their mental problems. So that includes mental health. So that is my presentation. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you approach and synthesize the differing perspectives in order to reach a conclusion?
So the way I researched was essentially I wanted to view two perspectives, being one, the perspective of these athletes, who we have a lot of athletes, Lindsey Vonn, Michael Phelps, Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka. All these athletes are coming together and speaking out, so I really wanted to get the perspectives of all of them. But I also really wanted to find the perspectives of researchers and scientists who are educated about mental health and the effects and do it as a living. So yeah.
Good. And then what are the implications of your findings to your community?
So one of the big implications was the fact that cyberbullying is a huge issue for people being transparent online. There are a lot of negative comments that filter through, and assuming that most athletes will just overlook them, I think is a little bit not a good assumption. However, while we can't really find data on that, which athletes are stronger, maybe there's athletes that are mentally stronger. It's still, that was one of my implications, because I couldn't really find any information about how athletes are, looking at these comments and are they, filtering through good versus bad, encouraging comments on their or reactions by the media. So, because cyberbullying is always a factor for everyone. So that was one of my big implications.
Yay.